Welcome to another edition of Behind the Stories. I'm your host and ACS Communications Coordinator, Tyler Hill. So last school year, around this time, Arlington High School art students began working on a collection for what's known as the Memory Project. Now, the Memory Project works like this. Students are given headshots of orphans from around the world. In turn, they spend weeks in the classroom creating portraits of these orphans and send them back as a gift to these children. It's truly a remarkable project that's been around since 2004. It's a way to give these orphans a positive and tangible childhood memory that they can hold on to for life. Many of these children have never owned a picture of themselves, much less an artist's rendering. Now, here's what some of our Arlington folks had to say about the project last year.
When I first was introduced to it, I just thought it was such a cool project, and I think it's always a great thing when students can give back a little bit to others with their talents and their abilities.
It's definitely hard, like certain angles can be hard to get the shade and make sure their face doesn't look flat or anything, so to be able to add that personality back into the picture is hard.
It's like a memento of just where they are now and hopefully what they'll overcome, and they can look back on it and go, this was a time in my life, I had this. It's something very important to me, and they can just, cherish it forever.
These portraits were mailed off and delivered to children in Peru, and recently we received a video update from the orphanage showing their reaction to these priceless memories. But first, before we show that update, I want to bring in Melanie Anderson, one of our fabulous art teachers here at the high school. Melanie, thanks so much for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks.
You're welcome. So in the clip, you said that you fell in love with the project the moment you saw it. So what drew you in?
It's been a long time since I started this, and I don't remember exactly how I found it, but I knew that when I saw it, I thought this is a great opportunity to do something that's meaningful, that gives our students a chance to give back and share their talents. And I like projects where students are very invested, and I think after they get a chance to see what the project is about, I get to show them the videos from the previous year, and usually there's a tear or two, and the students are all in by then. And so I love that they're engaged, they're invested, and that they're going to really do their best work.
Yeah, and you've been doing this project now here at the high school for about 11 years?
Yes, we started in 2009.
Okay, so is there something that you learn about the kids, your students, or maybe learn about yourself every year that you do this?
Yes, for sure. Like I say, I think the fact that our students are so compassionate, and they want to do such a good job. They relate to these students, to the children that we do the portraits for. A lot of times we've done children that are their own age, and they're not always little kids. And I think, when they can kind of relate to those kids, and it really kind of opens their heart, and I think it's just a really great experience for them.
Yeah, that's interesting because we're talking about teenagers here at the high school, 15, 16, 17-year-olds. So when they see that other maybe 16 or 17-year-old who's an orphan, that really has to put things into perspective for them.
It does. And a lot of these children that we make portraits for, they're in, various different kinds of hardship situations. Some of them have been through an earthquake and have lost everything. Some of them have lost their families. Some of them live in severe poverty conditions, and a lot of times they live at orphanages just because their families can't take care of them. So there's always a different situation, and I do think that affects our students, every year, whatever the situation is. They can relate and empathize with those people in another part of the world, and I think it's great.
Yeah, and beyond just being an art project, I really classify this as kind of like a service project,
yes.
Right? But with some service projects, you don't always get to see or realize the benefit that you've made on that particular community. In this case, though, we did receive a video back. Real quick before we show that video, is this something you get every year,
yes.
or was this particular year? Okay, so you do get it every year.
Yes, they've been doing this. The things that we've been getting back, they've evolved over the years, and as I guess video has evolved as well. They're pretty well produced, and they're really nice, and they really do make an impact. I can never watch one of those without crying, and pretty much everybody's in tears in my class too when they see the impact that just our little token of love makes on these other children. So
well, let's take a look at this update video.
Okay.
y a todas las personas que se han dedicado un tiempo para dibujarnos a nosotros. Lo valoro mucho de verdad.
En esta bolsita hay varias fotografías. Primero, acá y adentro hay otra, que lo han hecho unos señores con bastante cariño para ustedes. Esto es arte.
Gracias porque está muy bonito el trabajo. Nos gusta a nosotros también dibujar. Sé que les ha costado mucho trabajo y lo voy a cuidar muy bien y está muy bonito. Gracias. Me gustó lo que han hecho porque es un arte muy hermoso. Y muchas gracias por hacer esto, un detalle muy hermoso a este país. Gracias.
I mean, it's just such a truly remarkable and touching video. The fact that we get to see their reactions. You just said that you got choked up again watching it. I'm sure you've watched it probably that's like the 1,000th time, right?
Yes.
But I mean, it still brings that emotions. How did your students react to it?
They all get teary-eyed every
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
I mean, did your students see any of the kids? Were they able to spot out, hey, I drew a portrait
Yes.
of that kid?
Yes.
So what's that like actually seeing that
So
kid
exciting.
react?
It's so exciting because, you know, you have a picture, you feel like you get to know these children while you're drawing them, but then you actually see them in the video and it's just, it's very real then.
Yeah, I mean, because there's so much detail. Let's bring these in. This is from the batch that you did this year.
Yes.
These are going to kids in Venezuela?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, so you say you get to know these kids. I mean, you see all the details. So you're looking at this picture for hours,
Yes.
seeing every detail of their face, and then you have to paint that and put it into perspective.
Right, and we know their name, we know their favorite color, you know, that's about all we know, but you do feel like you know them by the time you're finished with them. So my students did a great job on these this year. I'm just so proud of them, and this is a lesson that follows in with our curriculum, with a portrait lesson that I teach before this, and then we follow up with this, and they do these portraits in color.
And what I like about this it's your Art 2 kids,
Yes.
right? So it's a new batch of kids doing these portraits every year. That's great. And I know we're flipping through these quickly, but
Yes.
they'll be in the April art show.
They will. I'll have a whole gallery of them in the art show.
Awesome, and that's going to be on April
14th.
That's a Tuesday. We'll throw some reminders up on our social media pages about that, but you can come by and view that. So real quick, I want to get your philosophy on art. I mean, you're an award-winning artist yourself. You've mentored award-winning students. You commission pieces in your spare time. So I would say that being an artist is part of your identity. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
So is it important to evoke emotion out of your pieces? And if so, why is that important? Because we really see emotions in this project. So is that important as an artist?
I think it's very important as an artist. What I usually tell my students is, you know, great art causes a reaction of some sort always. If you're not reacting, I think there's something lacking in the art. And it can be an emotion. It can be an emotion of joy, of happiness. It could be an emotion of disgust or dislike or unhappiness. It can disturb, but that's what great art does, is it causes some type of an emotional reaction always, I think.
Yeah. And so relating back to this project, the Memory Project, what do you tell your students going into this? Is there any kind of words of wisdom that you part on them before they pick up that paintbrush?
Well, first of all, I tell them I'm sending every single portrait. So if you do a bad one, They're going to laugh at yours. Seriously.
And they're going to have to hold on to
Yeah.
that for life.
No, but I want them to understand it's important. This is important. A real person is going to be on the receiving end of this. And this is a child that's going to think this is very precious to them, because a lot of the kids that we make portraits for don't have cameras. We're so used to taking selfies and having pictures around us all the time, but a lot of these kids don't own a picture or a memento like this of their childhood, and so this is important to them. And I think after they see the videos from the previous year, they do understand the importance of it, and they try really hard. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's a great project. You should be proud of it. I know the students are proud of it, and we just enjoy seeing that video. So thanks so much for being on today.
Thank you so much for covering this and having me. It was great.
Absolutely. All right, we'll be right back.
Hannah complained of a headache. It was a rhabdomyosarcoma. Within a few days, Hannah was in treatment because we were told that the tumor was very aggressive. St. Jude is an asset to the world. The research that is developed here is offered freely. I think it's the kind of place that could teach the world a couple of lessons about how to treat people. If those lessons could be learned, this world could be a better place.
Welcome back to Behind the Stories. Black History Month was celebrated in an artistic way at Arlington Middle School. The Dixon Art Gallery stopped by to show students how to create unique art using copper and acrylic paint, and it was all to celebrate a pioneer in the arts, Augusta Savage. Take a look.
You're gonna basically like take it and just that way. That's the magic trick. Okay, so you might have a little problem.
And sticking with the visual arts, our students really shined at the statewide Sergeant Arts competition. Arlington High and Donaldson Elementary students essentially swept the entire contest, with DES taking all 3 statewide elementary spots, while AHS snagged first and second places. 10th grader Riley Barber and Marita Kelly, a kindergartner at DES, won the grand prizes, winning a combined $600 in art supplies. 11th grader Madeline Wicker and kindergartners Audrey Miller and Conley Brooks also placed in the competition. Their teachers won big too, $1,300 in art supplies collectively. The Arlington High School Winter Guard made school history recently by competing in the Winter Guard International competition in Springfield, Missouri. The Winter Guard International, also known as the WGI, is the world premier organization for indoor color guard competitions. Not only is this the first AHS team to compete in the WGI, but they also took home 3rd place overall. Excellent job to these Tigers and to their sponsor, Missy Jenkins. Finally today, there's nothing we love more than having ACS alumni come back to our campuses to share their successes with young students. The 5th graders at DES recently heard from the class of 2016 graduate, Sam Horn. Sam is a student in the Herf College of Engineering at the University of Memphis and recently worked as an engineering professional intern at Walt Disney World. He spoke to the DES STEM kids about his experience working with Disney roller coasters, and then led them through a safety mat course that he wrote and coded. He was a great inspiration to our students, and we're so happy to see he's doing well. Well, that will do it for Behind the Stories today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a story idea for us or want us to feature a particular program, let us know. You can email me at tyler.hill@acsk-12.org to give me a shout out. Well, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time as we go Behind the Stories.
Thank you.